Hello and welcome to the Complete WordPress Development and Customization course. My name is Alex and I'm going to be your instructor for this program. This course was designed for individuals who would like to learn how they can customize existing WordPress themes and plugins to suit their very specific needs. Let's face it, as WordPress users, our ability to build a great looking website depends very heavily on the options made available to us by the themes and plugins that we choose to use. The aim of this course is to break through this barrier by teaching you how you can create your very own WordPress functions and page templates. In this course, you're going to learn exactly how WordPress works behind the scenes to display content on your website. You will work with custom post types and advanced custom fields. You will learn how to write your very own WordPress functions, build and display your own custom sidebars, and you will even learn how to create and apply custom image sizes so you can control how images are displayed on your website. By the end of this course, you will have the tools and skills necessary to modify any existing WordPress theme and make WordPress work the way you want it to work. Now, who am I and why should you take this course? Well, I am an experienced WordPress developer. I have been building websites with WordPress for the past 6 years, and I'm also an experienced WordPress instructor, so I definitely have the experience and the knowledge to teach you this course. If all this sounds good, I hope you sign up for the course, and I will see you on the inside. Bye for now.
Alright, so in this video I wanted to introduce you to the WordPress Codex, which is the almighty online repository for WordPress information. As a WordPress developer, it's very unlikely that you wouldn't ever stumble across this particular website, because this is the one website that you can't do without. It has all the information regarding WordPress, how WordPress is built, how WordPress can be customized. It has detailed instructions on how to customize your own WordPress themes, plugins, widget areas, WordPress functions, and you really can't do without the WordPress Codex. And as you can see right here, we've got several sections. You've got the very first one here, learn how to use WordPress. This is basically for beginners. But then over here we've got, working with themes, and of course how to write a plugin. So if I clicked on like theme development, for example, over here you've got all this content, stuff talking about template files, archives, and the index file. Just a whole bunch of information basically. And like I said, we will be jumping into this WordPress Codex every now and then. This video is just to give you a very quick introduction to the WordPress Codex, tell you what it's about. So you can go ahead and bookmark this URL, codex.wordpress.org. We are going to be visiting this website regularly throughout the entire course. So join me in the next class where we'll begin to talk a little bit more about our WordPress files. Thank you for watching. Before we move on, I wanted to quickly introduce you to the WP content folder, which is the folder where we're going to be doing most of our work in. Over here, as you can see, I'm connected to my website, VideoBuff, via Notepad++, and I've FTP'd into it. And when you FTP into your own website as well, you should see these three main folders: WP admin, WP content, and of course WP includes. Right now, I am more interested in the WP content folder. So I'm going to double click on my WP content folder, and then inside you can see we have some other folders, some subdirectories. We have plugins, we've got themes, upgrade, and uploads. Plugins is of course the folder that will contain all the plugins that we would install on our website. Now, double clicking on the plugins folder, I have Akismet, Jetpack, and SG Cache Press. Now, if I drag my website over here and the plugins page, you can see I do have 4 plugins: Akismet, Jetpack, the SG Cache Press, and of course Hello Dolly. And that's why we have Akismet, Jetpack, Cache Press, and of course we also have the hello.php, which is essentially just a file for the Hello Dolly plugin. So each time you install a plugin on your WordPress website, you will find the folder that contains all the programs and functions and files associated with that plugin in the plugins folder right here. That's plugins. Now themes, of course, over here I've got my 3 themes, 2015, 2014, and of course 2016, which are also the 3 themes that come by default whenever you install WordPress. From SiteGround in particular, if you're using a different web host, you may have some other kind of theme, installed already. But if you're installing if you're hosting your WordPress website through SiteGround, you will have these 3 themes installed by default: 2015, 2014, 2016. And of course, in each individual theme folder, we have a bunch of files which we will talk about in a later class. So that's for plugins, themes. Upgrade, we can neglect that for now. Uploads, each time you upload new media to your WordPress media library, we will find the items in our uploads folder. But since, of course, this is a brand new installation, I haven't installed or uploaded any media, the directory is empty. So that's the WP content folder in a nutshell. It's the folder that contains all files regarding our themes, plugins, and of course media files as well. So join me in the next class where we'll go about setting up our starter theme. Thank you for watching. Alright, so first things first, we need to set up our underscores theme on our WordPress website. And over here you can see I do have my fresh installation of WordPress on my site called thevideobuff.com, and this site basically would be a blog, but also will be a business sort of that sells, let's say, movies and movie posters and trailers and stuff like that. So I do have a very fresh installation right here. As you can see, I have not added anything at all. This is just the very basic stuff you get when you install WordPress from SiteGround. So what I'm going to do right now is to create a starter theme called underscores. And there are other themes out there that you can basically use for your WordPress website, especially if you want a very lean kind of a theme that doesn't really have much customizations to it. But the main reason why I prefer underscores is because I have been working with underscores for several years right now, and in my opinion, it is the leanest theme that you can find. And of course, by lean, I mean it's the theme that has just the very basic functions and programs that you need for your WordPress installation to work. It doesn't have any additional customizations or anything of the sort. So it is a perfect theme basically with which we can use to build our custom theme. So over here, this is the site underscores.me. And down here you can see we have the pictures of everyone who's worked on this particular theme, and lots of very nice people, including of course Superman right here on the right, as you can see. But anyway, that's not important. Over here right now, I'm going to generate a theme, okay, and I'm going to name the theme video buff. No spacing, no capital letters, just small letters, video buff, one word. And then I'm going to click on generate. Okay, video buff will be the name of our theme. And as you can see right now, we do have the zip folder already downloaded. So the next thing right now would be to transfer the zipped files to our WordPress directory. Alright, so now you can see I've already logged in via FileZilla to my WordPress directory. And over here to the left, this is of course my documents and my video buff folder in documents. I have extracted the videobuff.zip file that we got from underscores, and in here we now have the folder called video buff, which is our actual theme. And if I double click inside, you can see over here I've got all sorts of different files. So hopefully yours should look the exact same way as well. So what I'm going to do right now is to come over here to my WordPress directory for the videobuff.com, and I'm going to double click on the WP content folder, double click on that, and then inside I'm going to double click on the themes folder, And then I'm simply going to right click here and then upload the contents of the video buff folder. So here right now you can see the video buff folder is our theme, along with the 2015, 2014, and 2016. Okay, so let me just so right now we now have our video buff theme installed on our website, but now I am going to activate it. So let me just come back down here and let me log into the back end. Okay, just add my password. All right, so I'm going to come down to appearance, of course, themes. And over here, you can now see we have our theme called Video Buff, and I'm going to click on Activate. So now we have our starter theme all activated. Let me refresh this page. And now you can see we now have a rather ugly looking website with no formatting of the sort, nothing at all. And but that's exactly how I want this to be like. Okay, we're going to build our website from the very ground up. One other thing I should mention before winding up this video is that when you build themes from underscores, you don't need to create a child theme any longer, okay? Because basically, the theme you create from the underscores is essentially the one and only theme you're ever going to use. You don't have to create a child theme, and anytime you want to run updates or you need to make customizations, you're essentially working on the exact same theme. So there's really no need for you to create a child theme whenever you're working with the underscores. So that's it for now. Join me in the next class where we'll begin to explore our files a little bit closer. Thank you for watching. Okay, so let's talk about WordPress templates. And as you can see, I'm connected via Notepad++ to my website. So I'm going to double click on the WP Contents folder. I'm going to double click on the themes folder, double click on the video buff folder because that's a theme. And now here, as you can see, we have all these files and folders. I want you to ignore the folders for a moment and let's concentrate on these files. We have one that says 404.php, archive.php, comments.php, footer.php, functions, header, index page, search, sidebar, single. These are all what we refer to as WordPress template files. WordPress templates define what content is displayed on a page. A template basically determines the kind of information displayed on a page, where it is displayed, and how that content is displayed. As an example, the header.php file will display information on the top section of any web page, and such content that you would typically find on your header.php would be the logo, the main menu, and maybe even sliders that you normally would find on the top sections of websites. And here is a diagram giving you an idea of how template files actually work. Now, this diagram right here represents a web page. At the very top, you have the header.php file, which indicates what information is displayed on the top section. Like I said, the logo, the site title, the main menu, and then of course you have your content.php that actually contains the content, the actual real content of that particular web page. And then you have your sidebar.php that controls the sidebar that you have on the right hand side or on the left hand side of your WordPress page. The typical kind of information you would find there would be your most recent posts. You may have your categories, your archives, and so on and so forth. And then of course we also have the footer.php that controls what information is displayed in the footer section of your website. Now, template tags are used within templates to retrieve and display content. Templates use these things that are called template tags. Tags are kind of like pre-built WordPress functions with which you can use to retrieve and display content. You don't need to create these functions anymore, they're already there. As an example would be the tag called the content. Now, the content, when you use the content, you will be able to display retrieve and display contents of a WordPress post. We'll of course talk a lot more about template tags as we progress. Now, a template file can also contain references and links to other templates. So for example, within your header.php file, you may have a link to the footer.php file. And of course, a template hierarchy system is used by WordPress to decide which template file should be used to display a particular kind of content that's been requested. An example is this: if you wanted to display the contents of your post, of a single post on WordPress, WordPress can use a variety of templates. It could use the index.php file to display that information. It could even use a single .php file to also display that information. Now, don't worry, of course, we are going to delve a lot more into these templates and tags as we progress. In the next video, we're going to take a look at all these individual template files one at a time and spend a little more time talking about them. Thank you for watching. Alrighty, so the very first template file we're going to talk about would be the style.css file. And over here, I'm connected to my website, of course. I'm going to double click on the WP content folder, themes, video buff, and now we have our style.css file over here, which I'm going to double click on. Right, now the style.css file isn't used to determine what information is displayed, but rather how that information is displayed. And the reason is because the style.css file contains the CSS code, which is of course used to design and beautify our website, so to say. However, the style.css file is one of the two most important template files for your WordPress website. We'll talk about the second one in the next video, which is the index.php file. But the style.css file is extremely important because it contains the meta information of our theme. Over here, as you can see, we have at the very top, we have our theme name, which is video buff, and we also have all this other meta information. We have the theme URI, author, the version, license, and all that good stuff. This right here, especially the first line, is extremely important. You could do away with the version, with the description, author, and so on and so forth, but if your style.css file doesn't have this theme name line, your theme would not work and your WordPress website would not load properly without a properly formatted style.css file. Now, further down here, you can see we have all sorts of code for our website. And as we progress in the course, we're going to create other style.css files as well. Not style.css rather, but we're going to create other CSS files. So we have one for the header, one for the footer as well, and some other ones. Now, before I round up this video, I wanted to bring down this page over here that talks about child themes. Now, here we have an example of a child theme, and then in its style.css file, as an example, we have the theme name, which is 2015 child, but then we also have the template, which is 2015. Whenever you're trying to create child themes, the two most important lines will be the theme name and the template. Theme name because every theme must have a name, and since we're building a child theme here, we need to state the parent of the child theme that we're creating, and in this case, it is the template line. Here we have template 2015. Template line here determines what actual theme we're creating a child theme of. So just one thing to point out, just to take note of, whenever you're creating child themes, in the style.css file for your child theme, always make sure you have the theme name and of course the template for that child theme. Alright, so thank you for watching, and join me in the next class where we'll talk about the second most important WordPress template file, which is the index.php file. Thank you for watching. Alright, so let's talk about the second of the two most important WordPress template files, which is the index.php file. The index.php file is essentially the main template file with which WordPress uses to display information on your WordPress website. Now, I know we haven't talked about the template hierarchy. We'll talk about that in a short while, but I wanted to give you an idea of just why the index.php file is very, very important. Over here to my right, I am going to double click on the page.php file, which, as you may have guessed, is the template for displaying the content on our pages. So whenever we create a new page on our WordPress website, WordPress will check for a page.php file to determine how the information on that page should be displayed. Now, quite all right, on our theme right here, we have the page.php file. However, if we didn't have the page.php file, WordPress will automatically fall back to using the index.php file to display the contents of that page. So essentially, the index.php file is like the backup plan. It's the last resort. If WordPress doesn't have a more specialized template for displaying a particular kind of information, WordPress will automatically default to using the index.php file. And this is the main reason why index.php files tend to be very, very generic. They're not specialized, they just basically display information in a very basic and standard way. Now, taking a closer look at the index.php file, we have some functions over here. We have get header at the very top, which means get the header.php file. Down here, we have get sidebar, which means get the sidebar.php file. Get footer, of course, means get the footer.php file. And then in between, we have some CSS code. We have a div that contains this particular function here, which we call the loop. This basically just displays the information on our page. Don't worry if none of this makes sense to you. We're, of course, going to delve a lot deeper into all of this as we progress. But for now, hopefully, you now understand why the index.php file is essential to your WordPress website. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class. Bye for now. Okay, so let's talk about the header.php file. And as I've said in previous videos, the header.php file is the template that our WordPress theme uses to display information in the top section of our website. Now, over here, as you can see, we have a short description. It says the header for our theme. This is a template that displays all of the head section and everything up until the div ID content section. And we have our HTML5 code starting from here, doctype HTML. We have our PHP function, language attributes. And then down here, we have what is arguably the most important piece of code on our header.php file. Now, the WP_head function is regarded to be very, very, very important because it is this function that enables us to add code such as JavaScript code, jQuery code, and even CSS code to our website. Also, whenever you install a plugin that needs to do something in the header section of the website, the plugin looks for the WP head function in order for it to attach its own set of functions and programs to our website. So the WP head is more like a hook. It's what enables us to add extra code to our website, in a manner of speaking. Now, over here, we also have something here called the body class function. Now, what I'm going to do right here to explain this better is to drag my website over here. Let me expand this just a little bit so we can have this in two screens. Now, I'm going to right click and I'm going to inspect with Firebug. Now, take a look at this. The body class, we have home, blog, logged in, admin bar, hfeed, and customize support. Now, it is this body class function that allows WordPress to automatically generate these classes for our pages. If I went to another page, let's say, oh gosh, we actually don't have We don't have any pages. Okay, let me quickly do this very, very quickly. Let's just add a new page, and let's say the about page. Publish. Okay, so let me view the page, and let me right click again, inspect Firebug. Now over here in the body class, we now have the class page created because this is a new page that we've created. We also have an ID for our page, which is page-id-4. We also have the page template default and some other classes as well. So it is this body class function that allows WordPress to automatically generate all these classes for each particular page and post that we have on our WordPress website. So let me drag this away. And then of course over here we have the site title. We also have the site description being displayed, which is why we have the video buff and Tinseltown movies trailers, which is the description. That's why we have all of this being displayed because of all these template tags over here. And of course we also have the site navigation over here, and this is of course where our main menu is being displayed. So what I'm going to do also is to just play around over here just a little bit. What I'm going to do is, let's see, over here, just above our navigation, I'm going to add some text. I'll just say test code. Let me save this, and then I'm going to bring my website back. Let's refresh, and now you can see test code being outputted right here, just above our main navigation, which is of course the about page that we have. You know, whenever you create new pages on your WordPress website, most themes by default will automatically add the new pages that you create to the main menu. So that's why we now have the test code just above the main navigation. That's because we have it over here. So that's basically the header.php file. We are of course going to do lots of customizations to our header.php file as we go along, but hopefully you now have a general idea of what the header.php file does and also some of the functions that go into the header.php file. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class. Alright, so let's talk about the footer.php file, and of course this is the file, the template file, which our WordPress theme uses to display information in the footer section of our website. We really don't have that much code in this particular template file. We do have some sort of information here that says, you know, this website was proudly powered by WordPress. And also theme video buff by _me. This is just basically hyperlinks. If I drag my website over here to the screen, and down here you can see where we have all the text in the footer, proudly powered by WordPress. Let's make a small change. Let's change proudly powered by to let's say built on WordPress. Let me save this. Let me refresh the page, and now you can see it says built on WordPress. Also, we have the WP underscore footer function over here, which is just like the WP underscore head function that we saw in the header.php file. And just like that file, the WP underscore footer function allows us to attach JavaScript code, CSS code, and other forms of code to the footer section of our website. Also, if you installed a plugin that has to do something in the footer section of our website, it will typically look for this particular function in order for it to attach itself to the footer section of our website. So as we go along in the course, we are going to properly format and customize our footer section. We're going to create our own sidebars and add some other bits of information to our footer.php template file. But for now, hopefully you now have a good idea and a good understanding of what the footer.php file does. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class. Okay, so the next template file will be the sidebar.php file, and as you may have guessed, The sidebar.php file is the template used by WordPress to display the widgets that we have in our sidebars. Now over here, you basically have just a very short piece of code. It says dynamic sidebar, sidebar 1. So what this code is doing right now is that it's calling the sidebar with the ID of 1, and it's displaying the widgets that we have inside that sidebar. If I drag my website over here, and let me just right click, come down to appearance, go to widgets. As you can see, we have one sidebar, but then we also have the search, recent posts, and other widgets inside this sidebar. And that's why down here, we have our search widget, we have the recent posts, recent comments, archives, and categories, and of course meta. All these widgets are the widgets that we have included in the sidebar, and the reason why we're seeing them is because we have our sidebar template that says the dynamic sidebar, sidebar 1. Don't forget that all this is because of our index.php template that has the get sidebar over here. As you can see, get sidebar. So if I was going to, let's say, remove this piece of code for now, let me just remove this and see what happens. Let me save this. Let me come back and let me refresh. You can now see that all we have is the header section, we have the main content, and then we have our footer. We no longer have the sidebar display, and that's because we removed the get sidebar function from our index.php template. So let me just undo that, save it again, come back, refresh, and now we have our sidebar showing up again. So of course, as we progress, we are going to start creating our own custom sidebars, and we'll explore this template in more details as we progress. The functions.php file is one of the more important WordPress template files that we've got. And the reason is because typically the functions.php file is the file that houses the vast majority of code with which our WordPress website functions with. Now we're going to be making lots and lots of changes to the functions.php file, because it is here where we're going to be creating our own custom functions, we're going to be creating our own custom menus, our own custom widget areas, and so on and so forth. And over here, if you recall, from the last video where we talked about the sidebar.php, remember over here we had the dynamic sidebar function calling a sidebar with the ID sideb-1. Over here in our functions.php file, you can see that we have the function that says register sidebar, and down here in the ID you have the ID of sidebar 1. So typically, if we were to create our own custom sidebars, it is right here where we'll create our own sidebars, give our own sidebars their own customized names and IDs, and so on and so forth, which of course we will do as we progress. And of course, also over here we have a section for enqueuing scripts and styles. Again, we are going to talk a lot more about this as we progress. But if we were to create like a whole new, let's say a new style sheet, this is typically where you would include that style sheet into our WordPress website. So of course, like I said, we're going to be creating lots and lots of functions in this functions.php file. Hopefully this video has given you an idea of what the function.php file is. And once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class. Alright, so let's take a look at some other template files which we haven't talked about. These are template files that you are more than likely to find in most of the themes that you'll work with. So one of them is the 404.php template, and of course this is a template for displaying 404 pages, which are basically pages that people don't find on your website. So say for example, someone typed in www.thevideobuff/thevideobuff, which is a page that doesn't exist. You would typically get a 404 error page, and this is a template that will control how that page is displayed. We also have the archive.php that simply controls how archives are displayed. And we also have the single.php, which controls how single posts are displayed. So as an example, let me just make a very small edit here. Let me just add some text here. This is a test, and I'm going to save this. So now every single post on my website should have "this is a test" at the very top. So let me bring my video buff website over here, and let me click on the post right here. And as you can see right here, we have this text here that says "this is a test," as you can see. So the single.php again controls how single posts are displayed on your website. And as we go along, of course, there may be other template files we might discuss. Here's another one, search.php, also controls again how search results pages are displayed, and so on and so forth. You may also have another template called category.php, and just like archives, this controls how categories are displayed. And the most important thing to keep in mind is not all themes will have the exact same templates, but template files such as the header.php, functions.php, footer.php, index.php, those are pretty consistent in just about every single theme that you would work with. Other template files like, let's say, the single.php or the sidebar.php may or may not exist. And other themes, they'll have other ways of displaying posts and sidebars. So that's it for the other few remaining templates which we haven't talked about. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class. Okay, now it's time to talk about something very, very important, and which is something I have also alluded to in previous videos, which is the WordPress template hierarchy. The WordPress template hierarchy is how WordPress decides what template files to use to display content on a particular page. And the very first thing we need to keep in mind here whenever we're talking about the template hierarchy is that certain templates will be shown on every page. Examples are the header.php and footer.php. You can't have a web page without a header or a footer, so pretty much every web page on your WordPress website will have the header.php and footer.php template files being called into action. And under certain conditions, some other template files would be used. An example would be the sidebar.php. If, for example, we had a page that was going full width without any sidebars, then obviously the sidebar.php would not be used in such a condition. But if we had a page that had a sidebar either to the left or to the right of the page content, then obviously the sidebar.php template file would be used in such a situation. Now, WordPress uses something called the query string to decide which template file or set of templates should be used to display the page. Now, this query string is information that you would find in the URL of the web page. And we have an example. We have videobuff/blog/category/movies. From this URL, WordPress will determine what template files should be used. And if you think about it for a moment, you can begin to have an idea of the kind of template files would be used. We have the blog is involved. We have a category called movies that's also involved. So from this point on, you can already begin to determine that, okay, maybe the category.php might be used, and and so on and so forth. But let's move on. To determine which template file to use, WordPress will first of all match every query string that it finds in the link URL to the query type to decide which page is being requested. And as we saw in the previous example, it could be a search page or a category page. WordPress will then look for the template files with very specific names in the themes directory that matches the template file as specified by the hierarchy, which we will take a look at in just a moment. But going back to the previous example where we have videobuff/blog/category/movies. In order for WordPress to determine what template file it's going to use in this situation, it will first of all look for a template file in the current theme directory that matches the category slug, which is movies in this case. Now, if category-movies.php, which will be the ideal name for such a template file, if category-movies is missing, let's say for example the category's ID was number 4, WordPress will then move on to the next level, which would be to try to match the category's ID to a template file. Now, the ideal template file name for such a scenario would be category-4.php. So if category-4.php also doesn't exist, WordPress will then default to the next level, which would be to look for a generic category template file, which is now category.php. So you see how WordPress works. It first of all goes to the very end of the URL, which is movies. It looks for a template file that has something to do with category-movies. Oh, that doesn't exist. Okay. It then tries to look for category-4. That doesn't exist either. It then falls back to the next level, which is now a generic category.php. If that doesn't exist, it then falls back to the next level, which would be archive.php. And if for some reason archive.php doesn't exist, it will then default to the main theme template file, which is index.php. Every single time WordPress can't find a specific template file to display a certain page, it will always default to the index.php. And now we have here in all of its glory the WordPress template hierarchy. Obviously, if you go online, you would find more charts that are a bit more descriptive, but this one I think hits all the right points. Let's take a look at the very first situation, the 404. If we had the 404 page, WordPress would first of all look for the 404.php, which is the template file for displaying 404 pages. If that doesn't exist, it goes straight to the index.php. Same thing with the search page. It looks for something called the search.php template file. That doesn't exist. Okay, it goes straight to the index.php. You have the one for the taxonomy, you have the one for home, you have for attachment, then you have for single. Single in this case refers to posts. WordPress will first of all look for the single post type, which we will talk about a lot more as we progress in this course. The single post type doesn't exist, it jumps to single.php, which is now the generic template file for displaying all single posts. That doesn't exist, it defaults back to the index.php. Same thing with the page, same thing with the category, with the tag, with the author, with the date, with the archive. Basically, everything defaults to the index.php. If WordPress can find a specific template file for a particular page, it will always default to index.php. And as we progress, we will talk a lot more about template files. So if you're still a little bit confused about how the hierarchy works, not a problem, feel free to shoot me a question. I'll be more than happy to answer them. But I can assure you that as we progress in this course, you will begin to have a better understanding as we begin to work with templates and custom templates, and we'll begin to build out our own page templates. You will begin to have a much better understanding of how the entire WordPress template hierarchy works. But hopefully, you now have at least some idea of how this hierarchy actually works, of how this template hierarchy actually works. So, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next class. Alright, so after the previous video, I thought it would be a very good idea to show you the template hierarchy in action. And what I want you to do in this video is to walk along with me, okay? I want you to do exactly what I'm doing so that you can also learn and improve on your knowledge of how the hierarchy actually works. So what I've done so far is I have created a sample post. I named it sample post, and I added some junk content into it, as you can see. But I've also created a category called movies, and you don't have to create your own category and name it movies as well. You can name it food, cars, television, you know, whatever. It doesn't have to be movies. But go ahead, pause the video, create your sample post, and create your sample category, and of course attach your sample post to the sample category. And if you've done that, let's move on. I am going to come down to my Notepad++ file over here. Let me just drag that over here. And okay, so inside our video buff folder, I am going to create a new file, and I'm going to name that file category-movies.php. If you name your own category cars, for example, it's going to be category-cars.php, it's going to be category-television.php, and so on and so forth. Okay, so I have category-movies, but then I want to do something else. I'm looking for the ID for the category, and if you don't know how to get the ID for your category, once you hover over the title of your category, if you look at the bottom of my screen or of your screen, you should see something like thevideobuff.com/wp-admin/stem.php, taxonomy equals category, and tag underscore ID equals 2. So the ID for my category is 2. Yours could be 4, 5, it doesn't matter. But I'm going to come back to my Notepad++. I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to name it category-2.php. Okay. All right. So in category-movies.php, we have to wait for a few seconds. My Notepad++ times out. I don't know if you have the same issue as well, but for some reason, I'm guessing it's the internet connectivity in my office where I'm recording this video. It tends to time out in certain situations. So okay, so now it's open now, as you can see, and inside I'm going to type this is level 1. I'm going to save this. I'm going to come down to category-2, and I'm going to say this is level 2. Okay, let me save this, copy this, save. And then I'm going to come down to archive.php, and underneath the header, I'm going to paste this is level 3. And finally, I'm going to come down to index.php, and underneath the header, I'm going to say this is level 4. Okay. All right. So now let's see the template hierarchy in action. If I come back to my stuff right here, and I click on my homepage, rather, if I click on movies, the link down here called movies, if I click on that, you can now see we have this is level 1, and that is because the very first template file in the hierarchy would be the category-movies.php template file, and all it has is this is level 1. But let's do something. Let me show you some cool stuff. If I come up here and opened up my PHP tag and I said get underscore header brackets, open and close, semicolon, close the PHP function right there, save this, come back, refresh. Now we have parts of our header. We have the site title, and of course we have the site tagline as well. Let's go one step further. I'm going to come down here, open up a new PHP function, and say get footer. Put the brackets in there, colon. Awesome. Let's save this. And now let's see what happens if I refresh. Boom! We now have our footer down here, as you can see. So you can now begin to see how template files actually work. Within this category-movies.php.template, we already have 2 templates inside of it. We have the header and we have the footer. Awesome. But here's what I'm going to do, okay? I'm going to close this, and I'm going to delete the category-movies template file. So the next template file in the hierarchy now would be category-2, which says this is level 2. Okay, so let me come back. Let me refresh this page. And now you can see we have this is level 2. That's all we have over there. But if I did something interesting, if I, let's say, PHP get sidebar. Let's see if this actually works. Let me save this. So now we're calling our sidebar. And of course, we now have our sidebar that has the search widget, the recent posts widget, and all other widgets, as you can see. So that's, you're beginning to see how template files actually work. Awesome. So let me delete this. Let me just save this and then delete category -2 because we don't need that anymore. So the next on our template hierarchy now would be archive.php. So let me refresh the page. And sure enough, it's the archive.php, but now we have this is level 3 because that's what we have in our Notepad++ file down here. As you can see, this is level 3. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rename archive.php to barchive. Oops, sorry. All the way to the front. Barchive.php. And now let's see if I refresh. It goes straight to the index.php. This is level 4 because our archive.php no longer exists, as you can see. So let's do some cleanup. Let me first of all rename the archive back to archive.php. Let me remove this as level 3 and then save that. Go to the index.php and of course remove this is level 4 and save that. And so that's it. So hopefully you now have a much better understanding of how template files work, how the hierarchy works, and of course we are going to be building our own custom templates as we progress along the course. But hopefully this particular video has enhanced your knowledge about WordPress template files and how the hierarchy system actually works. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next class. Alright, hello and welcome to the very first lab exercise, and the objective of this lab exercise is to add some basic formatting to our website, make our website look a little bit more presentable, because as you can see right now, this site looks really bad. All the content is right up at the edge of the screen, and we also have our sidebar looking all jumbled, as you can see. So this is not the greatest looking site, as you can see. So we're going to go ahead and make some changes, and there are two ways how you can do this. Okay, you can either decide to go along and do it your own way, your own style. If you're comfortable working with CSS and you have your own way of building out your page layouts, by all means you can go ahead and do that. However, I would recommend that you follow my way of doing things. At least you would learn a different style of building out your sites. And who knows, maybe you might actually prefer my own style of building sites. So I would encourage you to do exactly what I'm doing. Tag along do exactly what I'm doing. Follow along by also opening up your own site and following me in real time. So right now, as you can see, I have connected via Notepad++ to Video Buff. I'm going to open up my content, themes, Video Buff, and let's look for the style.css file. And of course, this is the default CSS file that comes with the underscores theme. So I am going to look for a section where I can add my custom CSS. And let's see, actually let's just add it above the menus. I'm gonna add my line that says custom CSS. And don't worry, because much later on in the course I'm gonna show you how you can create your own custom CSS files. I'm gonna show you how you can create, for example, the header.css, which would be your style sheet that will control the styling for the header specifically. We would create a footer.css that will control the styling for the footer, and so on and so forth. And then I will show you how you can get WordPress to properly enqueue and load your CSS style sheets. And we might even take a look at how you can write some JavaScript and some jQuery code as well. But for now, I have created my custom section. I'm going to save it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my header.php. We are going to make some changes to the header.php file and the footer.php files. Very important. Right here under the header, I am going to add a new div, and I am going to give it a class called container. Okay, container. And then I'm also going to come down here just above, just beneath the closing navigation. I'm going to add my closing div for the container. And by the way, please ignore this last line here. I was playing around with this file before I started recording and I forgot to delete this file, this line. You shouldn't see that line on your own style sheet, so do forgive me for that. But what I've done right now is I've added a class of container that will contain the content in our header. So let me go ahead and save that. Let's come back. Let's refresh the page. And what I'm going to do is I am going to inspect my element using Firebug. I'm going to come down here and we have our class down here, container, as you can see. I'm going to click on the container, and then over here to the right, I'm going to right click, add rule, and let's go with a width of 1200 pixels and a margin of 0 auto. Alright, so basically what we're doing right now is we're structuring all our content into a max width of 1200 pixels. And of course, margin auto is to try to center our container in the middle of the screen. So we do have that working. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come down to my style.css, and then down here, I'm going to add my style, save it. Let's refresh the page. And voila, as you can see, it actually works. We now have our header, the contents of our header area showing up far away from the edge of the screen. All right, so now for the main content, as you can see, and of course, our sidebar and our footer, we still have the content right up at the edge of the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my header.php, and down here, just after the content, I am going to add yet another div, class equals container. So basically what's happening here is from your closing header tag down here up until this point, all this section right here controls your logo, it controls your site title, your main menu, and so on and so forth. Down here, where we have div id equals content, this is the opening section for the main content of your pages and posts. That is why just after the first line, I've added a new line. I've added a new line containing our container. So I'm going to save this. And now what I'm going to do is this. Again, I'm going to come down to my footer.php. Remember that your header.php and your footer.php are the two template files that will most certainly appear on all pages of your website. Then this is why I am making the CSS changes on both files. Down here, we already have the closing div for our content, as you can see. And this is why it's always a good idea to actually add some sort of marking or comment for easy reference. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down here, and I'm going to add the reference for our container. Class container. Okay. All right, so now we have container back here. So I'm going to come down here to footer.php, and then just above, I'm going to add the closing div for the container. Container. All right, awesome. So what we've done right now is the div that we've just closed is the closing div for this new div that we created inside the page section. Okay, so let's go ahead, let's save this. Let's come back, let's refresh. And now you can see that all our content is now marginalized as it should. We have our main content, we have our sidebars as well, but we still have our footer, which is still at the edge of the screen. So let's go ahead and add a new div to our footer, and we can do that just after the first line, let's add a new div, class equals container. Okay, let me just indent this to the right. Come back down here, close our container div as usual. Let's add our comment, container. All right, let's save this. Let's come back. And voila, there you go. So we now have our footer, we now have our sidebar, the page content, and of course the header, looking a lot more decent. So that's pretty nice. That's pretty fine. However, I am going to go one step further to remove all the widgets that we have on our sidebar. So let me come down here to appearance, widgets. I'm just going to remove all of this. Come back. Okay, awesome. So now our homepage at the very least looks a little bit more decent than it did a few minutes ago. So hopefully you are able to tag along, to follow along with what I did. If for some reason you weren't able to follow along, or there is something you didn't quite understand, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always very, very quick. I try to be as quick as I can when it comes to responding to questions. So, but hopefully, you know, you're someone who's experienced working with CSS, so you'll have at least a pretty good idea of what I did. But anyway, I want to thank you for watching the video, and of course, I will see you in the next class. Bye. Alright, so now it's time for lab number 2, and following up with what we just did in the very first lab, we're going to do something far easier. I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to go ahead and create some new pages. So let's go ahead and create about page. I'm just going to publish that. I'm going to add new. I'm going to go with blog, of course, publish. And I'm just going to add one more page. Let's name that the contact. Publish. And let me make sure we don't have a home page. Alright, so we have MailChimp for WordPress. Okay, let me just go ahead and trash this. I don't know where this came from. Alright, so we have about blog contact. Let me go ahead and add the home page. Home. Publish that, and let's come down to our settings, reading, static page, front page is home, post page is blog. Okay, let's save that. Let's come down to appearance, menus, and let's create a new menu, and I'm gonna name this menu the main menu. Create. Let's go ahead and add our pages. Contact comes last, about comes second. Down here, of course, theme locations. I'm going to make it my primary location. Let's save that. Let's take a look at the video above. Okay, all right, no problem. Looks really, really bad, but it's okay. We're getting there. Let's go back. Let's see posts. Alright, so we do have 2 sample posts, WordPress resources at SiteGround, sample post. Do not worry if you're actually seeing some of, if you're not seeing the same thing as I'm saying, because you can see right now we do have categories called movies, and there's a sample post. I may have been playing with this site already, so by all means, you can go ahead and create, let's say, go ahead and create 4 sample posts, between 4 and 6 sample posts, and then you can create, let's say, between 2 to 3 different categories and add your posts to your categories. Okay, so I'm gonna stop the video right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and create my sample posts, create my sample categories as well. Okay, I'm back, and as you can see, I have created 3 new posts. Ben Affleck is the Batman, Deepwater Horizon tops the box office, and Doctor Strange hits cinemas. I created 3 different categories for news, box office, and movies. And I also deleted the default uncategorized category. And if you're wondering how to do that, what you want to make sure is to, first of all, ensure that the uncategorized category doesn't have any posts associated with it. And then come down to settings, come down to writing, and then default post category. From here you would see uncategorized. You want to make sure that you change that to some other category, and then simply come back down to your, save your changes first of all, and then come back down to your posts categories, and then you can go ahead and delete your uncategorized category. So we're looking pretty decent. We have 4 pages. We have 3 posts as well. One thing to point out here is on my posts, I used the basic lorem ipsum as content for now. I added some tags. I haven't added any featured image yet. Okay, so you can ignore that for now. We're gonna add featured images much later. So I think that's it. Let me just go back to the home page, which still looks really bad. Let's click on blog, make sure that our posts are pulling in. That's fine, as you can see. So we're gonna do lots and lots of work on this website, but it's starting to it's gotten off the tracks, if I can put it that way. We still have lots of work to do, but at least we are beginning to see the website take shape gradually. So thank you for watching, and of course I will see you in the next class. Bye for now. Now we're going to do something really cool. We are going to create our own custom sample page template. Okay, we're going to do this because over the next few videos we're going to be talking about template tags, and I feel it would be a lot better if we had a sample page template with which we can play around with while I try to explain to you how template tags work. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, I'm connected to my site, and inside the video buff folder I'm going to create a new file. Okay, and I'm going to name this file template template-sample.php. okay, I'm going to click OK. All right, so we have it down here, and then what I'm going to do is at the top, I'm going to open up my PHP tag, and then I'm going to add a comment. Very important. Let's add our star, and then I'm going to say template name sample page. Let me just add 1 star, add another star, and then just go ahead and close that. All right, now this is very important. Okay, whenever you're creating a page template, a custom page template, you need this line where you have the template name being declared, sample page. I'm gonna save this. All right, now check this out. Okay, I'm going to come back down to the back end. I'm going to create a sample page. Name it sample. And now take a look at this. Over here to the right, on the template, we have our default template, but we now have we now have a sample page template. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and publish our sample page. And this is incredible. So now we have our own custom a template named sample page. Now, of course, if I view the page, we have absolutely nothing showing up because our template is empty. But guess what? Let's do this. Open up our new PHP tags. And then I'm going to say get underscore header, just like we did last time. And then I'm going to say get, oh, I'm sorry, shouldn't have done that. Get footer. And of course, let's close the PHP tag, save. Let's refresh. And boom, we have our header, we have our footer as well, as you can see. So awesome, awesome, awesome. You have now created your first ever custom page template in WordPress. So you can give yourself a round of applause, or, you know, jump and clap your hands, or, you know, do whatever you want to do. But I think this is awesome. We've just created our own custom template, and of course we are going to create more templates as we progress along the course. But this is the template that we're going to be playing around as we begin to talk about WordPress tags and you know, how you can make use of them. So if you haven't done this, please go ahead, create your own custom template, create your own sample page, and make sure your page loads from the custom template that you've created. And of course you can go ahead and add your header and your footer tags as well. So thank you for watching, and of course I will see you in the next class.
Alright, so welcome to a new section where we're going to cover template tags and the WordPress loop. The WordPress loop is arguably the most important aspect of WordPress, because it is the loop that determines what kind of content is displayed on your website and how and where that content is actually displayed. So the loop is extremely important. So we're going to talk about the loop, analyze the WordPress loop a little bit, and then also cover template tags. Template tags are like pre-built WordPress functions that display information on your website. A side note, we're not going to cover every single template tag that there is in WordPress. There are probably over 300 different template tags that you can apply in WordPress, but we're only going to cover the most important ones, the most regularly used ones that you're more likely to use when building a WordPress website. So without much further ado, let's get cracking.
WordPress template tags are essentially PHP functions used by themes and plugins to generate and display information dynamically. And of course, we've already seen an example, such as the get underscore header template tag, which pulls in the header.php file that contains all the information we have in the header section of our website. Another example of such a template tag, of course, would be the title, the underscore title, which will display the title of a page or a post. Now, template tags pull in information from your database. That's basically where they pull in all the information from. Now, template tags can also retrieve an array of data, and then you, as the developer or the user, can now decide what specific information out of that array you would like to display. Now, a tag consists of a PHP code tag, of course, a WordPress function, and of course optional parameters. Now, these parameters allows us to do two major things. One will be to ask for very specific pieces of information, while the other will be to format the information that we receive in a very specific manner. For example, we do have the template tag blog info, and then in brackets we have the parameter that says name. When you insert these kind of template tag, basically you're asking WordPress to display the name of your website. If you substitute name in brackets with version, WordPress will display the version of WordPress that you're running on your site. In the next series of videos, we are going to take a look at some very popular WordPress template tags and how we can use them to display information on our website. Okay, so let's talk about what is considered to be the most essential part of WordPress, the WordPress loop. Now, the WordPress loop is very, very important because it is the mechanism with which WordPress uses to display the content of posts, pages, and also custom post types, which we will talk about in a much later section. It is the WordPress loop that will display the title of a post, the content, maybe the date on which the post was published, the author of the post, and so on and so forth. Now, what happens here is the WordPress loop will retrieve all that content from your database for each post. And then where you have your template tags in your WordPress template, the loop will insert the appropriate information meant for those tags. As I said earlier, if we had a tag like the underscore date inside the WordPress loop, what the loop will do is that it will insert the date on which that post was published in place of the template tag the underscore date. Now, in terms of placement, the loop must always be placed in the index.php. We all know the index.php is the default template file with which WordPress would use to eventually display the content of a page or a post. So it's okay for you to have your loop in your page.php, you can have it in your single.php, you can have it anywhere you want to have it, but you must always have it in your index.php at the very least. So if you're looking to develop your own WordPress theme eventually, this is something that you must pay very close attention to. Over here, I have what you might consider to be the most basic structure of our WordPress loop. If you are a PHP programmer or you have some experience with programming in general, then you can easily identify that this is a loop that is taking place. However, if you're new to programming or you're very new to PHP, I'm going to do my very best to explain to you what exactly is going on here. On our very first line, we have the command that says if have posts. This is the very first condition that must be satisfied. WordPress wants to first of all check to see if we actually have any posts to display. If there are no posts to display, well, no loop then. But if we have posts to display, WordPress is going to jump to the very next line, which says while have posts. So now there are two conditions that WordPress is trying to satisfy. It's trying to make sure that first of all we do have posts that we want to display. And then for as long as we have posts to display, move on to the next line, which is the post. The post in this case right now is a template tag that will retrieve all the information associated with the particular post that is currently in the loop. What the loop essentially does is that if we have 5 blog posts to display, the WordPress loop will first of all grab the very first post. It grabs all the information, the content, the date, the author of the post, the category in which the post was created in. And then, depending on what template tags we have in our page template, it will display the appropriate information needed. Okay, we want the content of the post, it displays the content of the post, it displays the date of the post. Once that very first post is done, it moves on to the next post. Again, displays the content, displays the post, moves on to the very next post again, displays the content of the post, displays the author of the post or the date of the post, and so on and so forth. That is exactly what is happening right here in my blog page. I have basically 3 posts being shown. Ben Affleck is Batman, Deepwater Horizon tops the box office, and Doctor Strange hits cinemas. Now, our WordPress index.php template, what it's doing is, in the loop, it's displaying, first of all, the title of the post. It displays the date on which the post was published, then goes on to display the content of the post, and then down here, it displays the category in which the post was created in, and then also displays whatever tags might be available for the particular post. So hopefully you now have sort of a basic understanding of how the WordPress loop actually works. In the next video, I'm going to show you our index.php. We're going to analyze the loop that we have on our website in more detail. So I will see you then. Okay, so now we're going to analyze the WordPress loop that we have on our website in a little more detail. I do need to warn you though that there are certain lines of code which we're going to ignore in this video. And the reason is because I can't cover every single thing which we're going to see in this one video. There is so much more to the WordPress loop that I could spend the next 1 hour talking to you about the loop and I still won't cover everything. So do bear with me when we ignore certain lines of code. We are going to cover everything as we, of course, progress in the course. Right now, I've got my index.php file opened, okay? And over here, we have our get header, which we've already talked about. We have an open div. And then over here, we have our loop. We have the if have posts. I want you to ignore this second if statement. This is basically what we refer to as a conditional tag, which we will talk about later. I want you to ignore this section and then come straight down here to where we have start the loop. This is basically where WordPress begins to run the loop and check for your blog post and then display whatever information that needs to be displayed. Ideally, after the post, you should have all your template tags here that will ask WordPress to display the title of the post, the featured image, the content, and so on and so forth. In its place, though, we have get template parts, and then in brackets, template parts dash content, get post format. What does this mean? Well, this is a function asking WordPress to pull in a file located in a certain directory. Now, template parts here, the very first section here, template parts refers to a folder, which is the folder that we have here, template parts. And then inside of template parts, it says look for a file named content.php, which is exactly what we have here. We have content.php. So basically what's happening over here is for the loop, WordPress is saying, or rather, according to index.php, we are telling WordPress to pull in a file named content.php that's located in a folder called template parts. It is the code in that file that will dictate how the WordPress should display the contents of our post in the loop. So I'm going to open up content.php, which unfortunately my Notepad++ has timed out. Okay, all right, so just let's wait for a few seconds. This happens, once in a while for some reason, it times out and okay, come on. All right, content.php. All right, so now over here, all this starting from article down here, this is essentially what dictates how or what content is displayed in our WordPress loop, all this content here. Before we delve into the content.php, I want to go back here and give you another example of this function that we've taken a look at because this is very, very important. If I open up my page.php, over here we have something very similar. We have get template part, template parts dash content, but then we have something called page as opposed to get post format. When you have page here, what this means is look for a file inside of a folder called template-parts. The name of that file is going to be content-page. And of course, over here, we do have a folder, template parts, and then we also have a file named content-page. If we wanted to look for content-search, we would simply replace page here with search. That's all. The difference between content.php and the rest of these three files is that content has no extension. It doesn't have a content-none-page-search-main, whatever. It's just content.php. And that's why over here we have get post format. This is what you would use when the title of the file that you want to pull has no extension. So hopefully you have gotten that. All right, let me just close page.php. Let's move on now to our content. style.php. All right, this is the bad boy displaying all the information that we have here in our blog. Let me expand this. All right, let me just drag this over here. It's very, very important that you understand what's happening. Let me drag this down here. Okay. Pull this over here. All right. So what's the first thing that we have here? We have Ben Affleck is the Batman. That is the title of our post, right? So where is it here that is asking the loop to display it? Well, we have the title. The title here is basically the template tag that says display the title of the post. And then in brackets, we have the title wrapped in H1 tags. Remember in previous videos, we wrapped some of our template tags in H2 tags. Well, this is a different way of wrapping your template tags in HTML tags. Rather than closing the if single statement here and then opening up your H1, adding your opening PHP tag, the title, and then closing the PHP tag, and then closing the HTML tag, you can simply do this instead. All right, so this is a different way of wrapping your template tags in HTML. So this is what is displaying Ben Affleck is the Batman. Okay, what's next? Posted on October 7th, 2016. Where is that happening? This is happening over here where we have video buff underscore posted underscore on. This is a custom function which the underscores theme creates by default. And in order to locate this, I am going to come down here. Let's look for a folder named inc, which means includes. And then here we have template tags. These are custom template tags which underscores has created for us. These are not default WordPress tags, okay? These are custom tags created by underscores theme. All right, so what do we have here? We have the function video buff underscore posted underscore on. Now, what this function is simply doing is it is simply getting the time in which the post was published. That's all it's basically doing. There are some other things it's doing over there as well, but we don't have to talk about that. So what this essentially is doing is that it's simply displaying when the post was published. And of course, we also have the text posted on. Okay, let's move on. We now have all our content being displayed in all its glory. Where do we have that? We have that over here in the template tag called the underscore content. This very, very powerful tag is what is displaying all the content that we have in our posts. Okay, let's move on. Posted in news and then tagged Batman. So somewhere in our loop, WordPress is being asked to display the category of the post and also whatever tags that we have associated with the post. Where is this happening? It is happening down here in a section here called the video buff underscore entry underscore footer. This again is a custom function which underscores has created for us. What is this doing? Let's come back down to our template tags. Come down here and then we have our function video buff underscore entry underscore footer. All this is basically doing is it's simply saying, okay, well, look for the category and then add the text posted in, which we have here, posted in, and then display the category. What else? We have the tags. Over here, where is that? Okay, yeah, over here we have the tag list. It says, okay, look for any tags associated with this post and then display the text tagged, and then display whatever tags are associated with that particular post. That's basically what all this jargon of code is basically doing. And that's how we now have our blog page displaying our posts the way it is. Displaying the title, the date on which the post was published, the content, and then whatever category and tags that are associated with the post. I know we've covered quite a lot in this video. It's, it is a lot to digest. But again, don't worry. When we begin to create our own custom blog templates, you will begin to have a much better understanding. And the truth is this. Here's the truth. These content.php file that we have, for our loop is a little bit more complicated than it should. In the next video, we are going to start creating our own custom template for displaying our blog posts. So I will see you then. Okay, so now we are going to create our very own custom template for displaying our blog page. And I am going to attempt to simplify all this content that we have over here. All this jargon of code and functions and all that stuff. We don't need this. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create a new file inside of my template parts directory. Okay, create new file. And I'm going to say content-blog.php. Let's create that. And then what I'm going to do is down here in my index.php where we have the get_template_part, I'm going to force our index.php to pull in this file that we have in our content-blog. So I am going to change the get_post_format. I'm going to change that and make that blog. Save. Okay, so now let me just refresh our blog page. And awesome. So we have nothing displayed because we haven't added any code yet into our content-blog.php page. All right. First things first, I want to display the titles of our posts. And I'm going to do that using the title template tag. So let's go with PHP, the _title. Again, understand that we already have our loop running in our index.php. This is the loop right here. So all we have to do right now in our content-blog template file is just to add the necessary template tags that WordPress needs to interpret. So the title, let's save this. Let me come back here, refresh. And okay, we have the titles. Ben Affleck is the Batman, Deepwater Horizon, and of course Doctor Strange. Okay, awesome. Let's do this instead. I'm going to make this H1. Grab this in an H1 tag. Save. Let's refresh. Okay, awesome. So now we have our titles been displayed in H1 tags. And of course, because an H1 is a block element, the titles have now fallen to separate lines. Awesome. Okay, what is next? Let's see. Let's display the date in which the post was published and also the author of the post. Let's do that. And in order to do that, I'm going to drag my template tags page over here. And over here, we have a list of all the tags that we can use. We have general tags, we have author tags, bookmark tags, category tags, comment tags, and so on and so forth. Now, on the post tags, we have the dates. So let me click that. And then here it says displays or returns the date of a post. Okay, so let's do that. Let's come over here and I'm going to wrap this in an italic tag, PHP, the _date. And in fact, I'm going to say posted on dash. Okay, let's save this. Let's come back here. Let's refresh. And okay, so we have the very first one that says posted on 7th of October 2016. But take a look at this. For some reason, the date for the second post and the third post are not being published. Why is this happening? Well, over here we do have a very special note that says when there are multiple posts on a page published under the same day, the date only displays the date for the first post. That is the first instance of the date. So over here, all these posts that we have were all published on the very same day. If I come back down to my posts, click all posts. You can see they were all published on the 7th of October 2016. And that is why when we decide to use the template tag of the date, it will only display the very first date. It won't display the author date since it's the same date. So they're telling us here that use to repeat the date for the post published under the same day. You should use the template tag the time or get the date with a date specific format string. Okay, sounds good. Let's use get underscore the date instead. Let's save this. Let's come back. Refresh. And oh, look at that. So actually, no date is now displaying. Even the first one has disappeared. What is happening? Remember that whenever you use get never means to display on its own. Whether it's get the post thumbnail, get the author, get the title, get the date, the word get simply means we are retrieving all the data associated with that particular tag. We're not explicitly telling WordPress to display the contents of that tag. So in order for us to get this function to work, we'll have to add echo. Echo, get the date. So now we're explicitly telling WordPress to display the date. We can either use echo or inside of the brackets where we can add our parameters, we can then choose the date format which we want to display our posts in. So let me save this. Refresh. And now we have it been echoed out. October 7th, 2016, October 7th, 2016, October 7th, 2016. Awesome. Okay. Let's do something else now. Let's go back to file. And then here I am going to display the author. And I'm going to say written by dash. And now for the author, how do we display that? Let's come back down here to codex. Let's look for the author tags. Okay, we have author tags down here, and then we have something called the author. Click on that, and it says the author of a post can be displayed by using this template tag. Okay, let's do that. Written by PHP, the underscore author. Let's close this. Save. Refresh. Okay, and now we have written by Alex, but I want this on a separate line. So what I can do is I can simply add a break line over here. So this should force the author to appear on the next line. Refresh. And awesome. So now we have posted on written by. Cool. Now we're going to display the content of our posts. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come back down here, add 2 break lines this time around. And then I am going to use PHP, the underscore content. Let's save this. Let's refresh. And okay, so now you can see we have our content being displayed. So gradually we are beginning to build our loop, and of course you can now see the results. We can now see what's actually happening. I want to do something though. Rather than displaying all the content, I want to display the excerpt, which is something that's very, very, very common in blogs. Usually on the blog page, you don't see all the content of each individual post. You would see a sample of the post, and then you would see something like a read more or click here to read more, and so on and so forth. So in order to do that, we're going to use a tag called the excerpt. Let's come back here. Let's look for the excerpt, and we have it here on the post tags. The excerpt, let's click that, and then displays the post excerpt. Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to replace the content with the excerpt. Let's save this. Let's refresh. And of course, you can now see we now have our except showing up. This is the default except for the underscores theme. Depending on the theme that you have, certain themes may have the read more link showing up in the except. It may have something else. We are, of course, going to customize our except as we progress in the course. So don't worry if this doesn't look too good. But what else do we want to display? We want to display the category of the post. So let's do that. Let's come back to our codex. Let's see, where do we have the category? I keep forgetting this one. Oh, okay. So we have it in post tags, and we have the category. Displays a link to the category or categories a post belongs to. Okay, this tag must be used within the loop. All right, cool. So I'm just going to come down here, and I'm going to say PHP the underscore category. Oops, category brackets. Let's save this. And I am going to refresh. And we now have our category showing up: news, box office, movies. I do find it rather annoying, though, that WordPress by default makes this turns this into a list. I don't like that, but we're gonna change that with CSS, of course, as we progress. So, but hopefully, you know, I mean, you've now seen the loop in action. Look at this. All this we basically did how many lines of code? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, with the exception of the break lines. 5 lines of code displays the title of each post, the date the post was written on, who wrote the post, the except of the post, and the category of the post, as opposed to all this junk that we have here in content. But to be fair, the code that we have in the content covers up for more situations. Like, for example, over here we have, if you're not displaying the main title, display something else. We have some more HTML. We have some more things happening here. So the content.php file is a lot more robust than the content-blog file that we've written, but we are achieving more or less the same results. So hopefully your confidence now in being able to create your own sample blog template that has now been given a boost. So I want you to go ahead and take the challenge, the quiz that's coming up next, where I will ask you to create your own sample blog post to do certain things. So thank you for watching, and of course, good luck in the quiz. I hope you found this video useful. I will see you in the next class. Alrighty, so before we continue, we have to add some more content to our blog page. And as you can see, I have added a few more posts. I now have 10 in total. And I also added them to categories. I added tags for each respective post. And taking a look at the blog page now, blog, you can see we have 10 of them in total, coming all the way down here. So what I want you to do is to go ahead and create your own sample posts. They don't have to have any real content. You can just use the same lorem ipsum. For the featured images, make sure that the images are quite large. So I will typically recommend that you have your images that are wide, that have a width of at least 1200 pixels, 1200 pixels, and a height of at least, let's say, 600 pixels. Okay, so make sure your featured images are quite large, because we're going to be cropping them later on in this course. And don't forget to add tags as well, add them to a specific category as well. And they don't have to be 10 in number. You can make 6, 7, 8. You can even do more than 10 if you want to, you know. So I'll go ahead, create all these sample posts, and I will see you in the next class. Okay, so now we are going to start to make some major changes to our blog page. And of course, we're going to be making these major changes on our blog template. Now, so far, this is what we have over here. We have our title displaying. We have the post thumbnail. We have the date that the post was created displayed. We have the author of the post displaying as well. We have the tags, except, and then category. Okay, now, First things first though, over here on our blog page, there is no place where we can click to read more about a particular post. So typically on most blog pages, you can either click on the main title, so that when you click on the title, it will take you to the full article of that particular post, or you might be able to click on the featured image, or maybe even click on the read more button as well. But over here we have absolutely nothing that we can click on. You click on the title, nothing happens. You click on the featured image, nothing happens. You click on the read more button here, nothing happens. So right now, if anyone visits our website and they would like to read more about, say, Batman v Superman earns 850 million, if they wanted to read more about this particular article, there is no place for them to click. So what I'm going to do in this video is I am going to make the titles of each post clickable, so that when someone clicks on the link, it will take them to the full page of the article of that particular post. And what we're going to do is we're going to make use of a function called the permalink. Now the permalink displays the URL for the permalink to the post currently being processed in the loop. Now it's very, very simple. Over here we have the usage. So what I'm going to do is, and over here we have, you can link it with text. So over here, this is what I'm simply going to do. I am going to copy this code right here. I'm going to copy that. Let's bring our template over here. And what I'm going to do is right here on my h1 tag, I'm going to create a hyperlink. href equals, and then in quotes, I'm going to paste the code, the permalink, add a closing tag. Oops, excuse me. And at the end here, I am going to close the hyperlink. All right. So what we've done right now is we've turned the h1 tag displaying the title into the permalink of the particular post. That's what I've done right here. So let me save this. Let's come back down here. Let's refresh the page. And now you can see our links are clickable. The titles are now clickable. If I click on the title right now, it takes us to the page containing the full article for this particular post. So let's go back. Let's try for another post. Deadpool 2. Click on Deadpool 2. It takes you to the page, the full article page for Deadpool 2. So right now, our titles for our posts are now clickable. So people can now click on the titles to take them to the pages containing the full articles of the posts. Okay, so let's talk about custom image sizes and cropping in WordPress. Now, by default, WordPress automatically will create 3 different versions of every image you upload to your media library. WordPress will first of all create a thumbnail size, it will create a medium size, a large size. So this would be the 3 additional image sizes that WordPress will create for you, in addition to having the full size of the original image itself. But in certain instances, you may want to create your own custom image size. With your own custom image dimensions, you may want to create an image with a square dimension like 200 pixels by 200 pixels. You may want WordPress to create a sort of a landscape version of your image that will be very, very wide and not very tall. Or you could also get WordPress to create a portrait version of your images that will be very tall and very narrow. Now, WordPress will crop the image that you upload to your media library to match the custom image dimensions that you've specified. That's what WordPress will do. Now, there are basically 2 ways how WordPress does this. WordPress can either use something known as a soft crop or a hard crop. Now, what's the difference between a soft crop and a hard crop? A soft cropped will always show all of the image. I'm not saying it's going to show the full size of the image, I'm saying it's going to show all of the image. A soft crop will never cut away any part of the image just so that it can match the dimensions that you've specified. Now, because a soft crop will always show all of the image, the dimensions of a soft crop image will rarely ever match the dimensions that you've specified in your custom image size. Now here I've got an example. Let's look at that very large image that's 1200 pixels by 640 pixels. Let's imagine that's the image that you've uploaded to your media library. That's the original dimension. Now at the very top we have a set dimension 300 pixels by 300 pixels. So we have created a custom image size of 300 pixels by 300 pixels, but we've uploaded an image that's 1200 pixels by 640 pixels, and we ended up applying a soft crop to it. The image to the right is the end result of a soft crop applied to this image, but you can see the dimensions are 430 pixels by 300 pixels, not 300 pixels by 300 pixels, which we already specified. And this is because it's a soft crop. A soft crop will always show all of the image, and because it's trying to show all of the image, it can't match the exact dimensions that you've specified. So the 430 pixels by 300 pixels is the closest dimensions that match the dimensions that you've specified without it losing any of the image. That's what soft crop does. Now in the case of a hard crop will cut some of the image if necessary. That's why it's called hard. It will cut off any part of the image that it feels need to be stripped off in order for the image to match the custom image dimensions that you've specified. Also, the position of the crop can be specified. We'll talk more about this in another video, but with a hard crop you can choose to crop your images from the left top position, from the bottom right position, and so on and so forth. Again, we'll talk about this in a later class. And finally, the dimensions of a hard cropped image will always match the dimensions that you've specified, and that's the key difference between a soft crop and a hard crop. Let's take a look at this example. We have the same 1200 pixels by 640 pixels that we have uploaded, and we have our custom image size of 300 pixels by 300 pixels. Now the image to your right is the end result of a hard crop applied to this image. You can see the dimensions are exactly 300 pixels by 300 pixels, but you would notice that parts of the image, especially to the left and right, have been stripped off in order to accommodate the exact dimensions of 300 pixels by 300 pixels. So again, that's the major difference between a soft crop and a hard crop. A soft crop will rarely ever match the exact dimensions that you've specified, but at least it will show all of the image. A hard crop will cut off part of the image in most cases, but it will match the exact dimensions that you've specified. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to create your own custom image size and how to apply them to your featured images. Thank you for watching. Okay, so now let's go about creating our custom image size, and what I am going to do is I am going to drag my functions.php file over here, and just underneath the add action WP and Q scripts line, I'm going to create a new space, add a new statement. Let's say custom image sizes. Alright, now as I said in the previous class, when you're creating a custom image size, you basically have to do three main things. You have to first of all add a name for the custom image size, set the width, set the height. All these three are required. And then last but not least, this isn't required, but you can either choose to set your crop to false or true. By default, our WordPress will set your crop into false. So if you want true, you'll have to specify true. So let's do that. Let's come over here. We have our add underscore image underscore size. In brackets, let's give it a name. Let's go with blog thumbnails will be the name of our custom image size. And then for the width, let's go with, let's say 500 pixels, and then a height of 250 pixels, and then I am going to set my crop to true. Now, these obviously depends on you. You can choose to go with the false crop, which would be the soft crop, basically. It's a matter of preference. I personally prefer my thumbnails to have my featured images rather to have the exact same size. I think it's neater and it looks tidier that way. So, I've created my custom image size called block thumbnails. Or rather, let's just make it block thumbnail instead. Block thumbnail, a width of 500 pixels, height of 250 pixels, and then I've set it to a hard crop. So let me save this. I'm going to come down to my content block page template now. And then here on the line where we have the post thumbnail, I am going to add inside the brackets, I'm going to add my quotes, and then I'm going to add the blog thumbnail, which is the name of the custom image size that we've created. So basically, I'm telling WordPress that anytime you're going to display the featured image of our post, display the post with the size that I've specified in my custom image size called blog thumbnail. Okay, blog thumbnail. All right, let me save this. Let's go back down here. Let's refresh the page. And okay, so as you can see right now, something has happened. The images have been scaled down, as you can see, but there is a problem. And if you're paying very close attention, you will notice that the images aren't all the exact same size. As an example, the image of Hugh Jackman over here is not as wide as the Deadpool image. The Deadpool image is wider than the Star Wars image. Now, this shouldn't be because we've set our custom image size to be 500 pixels by 250 pixels and we've set it to true. So we expect all our images to be exactly 500 pixels by 250 pixels. So what is happening? What is happening here is this. Because all these images that we have right now, that are displaying right now as a featured post, we uploaded them before we created this new custom image size that we've just created. So basically, WordPress knows that, okay, we've created a new custom image size for these images, but it can't match the exact same size that we specified on our image size because these images have already been uploaded. So it's basically doing its best to match the dimensions that we specified here. Remember that whenever you upload images to your WordPress library, WordPress automatically does something. It creates 3 different versions of your image. It creates the thumbnail version, the medium version, and then the large version of the image. Right now, we've created a new image size called the blog thumbnail. So in order for WordPress to exactly match all our featured images to this exact size, we would have to sort of re-upload all our images. Rather than doing that, there is another method that we can do, and this method is called regenerating the thumbnails. Now, regenerating thumbnails is basically telling WordPress to create fresh new sizes of all the images that we've uploaded to our media library. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new plugin called Regenerate Thumbnails. Regenerate Thumbnails. Regenerate Thumbnails, and of course it's by Alex Mills. No relation. I'm going to install it. Activate. Let's come down to tools, and then we have the regen thumbnails down here. So basically, I'm just going to click on regenerate all thumbnails. So what WordPress is doing right now is that it's creating fresh new sizes of the images that we've already uploaded. Okay, it's all done. Let's go back. Let's click on blog. And now, as you can see, all our featured images are now the exact same size of 500 pixels by 250 pixels. That is exactly what Regenerate Thumbnails does. It simply creates fresh new sizes of all the images that we've already uploaded to our media library. So right now, moving forward, every time we upload a new image to our media library, WordPress will now create, in addition to the thumbnail version, the medium version, and then the large version, WordPress right now will create automatically a blog thumbnail version of the image, because we have already created a new image size for a new custom image size for our WordPress images. That's why. Okay, awesome. So what you can do right now is, as practice, you can simply choose to create a new image size, a new custom image size. Give it a name like test thumbnail. You can, change the dimensions, make them maybe 300 pixels by 200 pixels. You can set the crop to false, and then you can simply come down here to your blog template, change the name from the blog thumbnail to the new name of the custom image site that you've just created. Refresh your page. You can try regenerating all your thumbnails just to see how things actually work. So thank you for watching, and of course I will see you in the next class. Alrighty, as I mentioned in the previous video, when you choose to hard crop your images, you can choose the direction from which you'd like to hard crop them. And as an example, over here we have a custom size 220 by 220 with an array of left top. Now the very first value you add to your array over here represents the x-axis, which can accept a left position, center position, and right position. The second value represents the y-axis, which is of course the vertical axis, and that represents whether that can accept a top, center, and bottom values. So let's try to apply this sort of an example to our images right down here, and I am going to choose a very specific image as an example. So let's go with the Hugh Jackman photograph over here. Remember that the default cropping position for a hard crop is center. So all the images we're seeing right now are being cropped from a center position. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that to a center top position. So in this case right now, when applied to this specific image, we should see all of Hugh Jackman's head. As you can see, part of his hair is being cut off. So we would like to see the whole of his head because we like his head. So let's do that. I am going to drag my notepad file over here, and I am going to change the true here. I'm going to change that to array, and then in brackets, let's go with center, comma, and then top. Okay, so this is how you would choose your cropping direction with the hard crop in WordPress. So let me save this, and we will have to regenerate our thumbnails again. So I'm going to come back down to my media library, and then rather than having to crop every single regenerate every single image like we did in the previous video where you come down to tools, regen thumbnails, you can choose to regenerate your thumbnails individually. And how you would do that is you would switch from your horizontal view right down here to your vertical view in your media library. And then over here, you can simply hover over the image that you'd like to regenerate specifically, and then you will see the value here. Regenerate thumbnails. So I'm just going to do that. And we should be fine. So let's go back here. Let's now do a hard refresh on the image, and now you can see we can see the whole head of Mr. Hugh Jackman. So our head crop position of center top worked successfully. So that's how to change the direction of your hard crop. Again, it really all depends on you as the individual, as the website owner. You can choose to crop your images however you'd like to crop them. So thank you for watching the video, and of course I will see you in the next class. Ciao. Alrighty, so the next couple of changes on our agenda would be to customize the excerpt that we currently have. And the first change I would like to make would be to get this bracket and the three dots that we have on our excerpt I want to make that clickable so that when a user clicks on that link, it takes them to the full page of the actual post, just like the titles themselves. And the second change which we're going to make in the next video would be to customize the number of words that are actually popping up on our excerpt. Now, in order to customize the excerpt that we currently have, we're going to have to write some PHP code. But luckily for us, and luckily for you, if you don't have any experience with PHP, you do have ready-made functions and code that you can simply copy and paste onto your function.php file. Now, if you have any experience writing code in PHP, feel free to go ahead and write your own custom functions if you can. But if you're like me, who really doesn't have all that much experience with PHP, feel free to simply copy ready-made code such as the one we have over here, which is actually not this one. What we're looking for is, number 3, make the read more string link to the post. This is actually what we're looking for. So what I'm going to do is simply going to copy this code. Don't worry, I will have the link to this page available in your resources link, so you can do the same. I'm just going to copy this, bring my function.php file over here. Let me expand the window. Let's come down here. And just underneath where we added our custom image size, I am going to create a new line and say customize read more link. And then I'm going to paste the code that we have. Now from here, there are a couple of things that we can do. We can change the name of the function if we wanted to from wp-docs underscore accept underscore more to customize read more or something like that. These are changes that you can make, some custom changes that you can make to this ready-made code. You can also change the CSS class that we have from read more to, something else. And also the actual text itself, which is read more over here, we can change that. But let me just first of all save this, and let's see if this actually has any effect on our page. Refresh, and now you can see we have the read more link showing up. So from here, I can, like I said, I can change the text here to let's say continue, just as an example. I can change that to continue, save. Let's refresh, and you can see right now it's continue. So these are the very simple changes that you can make to ready-made functions that are available to you in WordPress. I prefer the read more text, obviously, and I'm just going to leave that as it is. So let me just save this and refresh once again just to make sure that it's working properly. And as we go along in the course, we're going to make some CSS changes so that we can get our read more link to appear on the next line, or maybe something else. But that's pretty much how to customize the text for our read more link. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you in the next class where we're going to customize the length of our excerpt. Thank you for watching. Alright, so as I mentioned in the previous video, here now we are going to control the length of our excerpt using yet another ready-made function available to us in WordPress. Now, I forgot to mention this in the previous video. I know that we did something. We used a particular function here called add_filter, and I really didn't explain to you what that does. Don't worry, we're going to dedicate a whole section where I'm going to explain to you exactly what filters are, what actions and hooks are, and so on and so forth. For now, I want you to just bear with me and just go along with me, okay? I promise you I'm going to explain to you exactly what filters are in a much later class. But from here, I'm simply going to copy this function as usual. Just copy that. Copy, go to our functions.php file. Let's create a new line again. So we can add a note and say customize excerpt length. I'm going to paste that. And what this does, as you can almost already tell, is that it returns 20 words. That's 20 characters. That's exactly what it does. So let me just save this. Let's check this out. Let's refresh. And now you can see we have our 20 characters, as you can see. So that's pretty much how to customize your accept. It's pretty simple. By default, the accept length is set to 55 words, and to change the accept length to 20 words, simply use all of this, and we have our 20 over here. So if we wanted to extend this to, let's say, 35, you can simply change that to 35, save this, come back here, refresh, and now we have some more words. Now it's 35 words. So I'm just going to leave that on 35 words, and let me just make one very quick change to our blog page template. Content blog. I'm going to remove the category. Let me just remove that. Save. Refresh. So this actually looks a little bit better right now. So I might decide to add a category later on as we go. We'll see how that pans out. But hopefully right now you have an idea on how to customize your read more text and also customize the length of your excerpt. So thank you for watching, and of course I will see you in the next class. Now, a while ago, we talked about the WordPress loop, which is responsible for outputting all the information that we have on our blog page right here. And based on the template that we have, the content-blog template, the WordPress loop will simply loop through each post that we have and then output the title, the post thumbnail, when the article was written, who wrote the article, the tags, the excerpt, and so on and so forth. This is the WordPress loop in action. That's what the WordPress loop is doing. And by default, WordPress will display the 10 most recent posts that we have available. And of course, that can also be changed if you come down here to your settings, reading. You can change that down here. But also, WordPress by default will output all the content from every single post, irrespective of the category of the post, who wrote the post, when the post was written. It will simply display the information from every single post. Now, what if we wanted to make changes to how that loop actually works? What if, for example, we wanted to display posts from a very specific category? What if we wanted to display posts from a certain author only? What if we wanted to skip the very first post and then show the other posts? You know, things like that. How can we do that? How can we customize the WordPress loop? This is where the very powerful function called the WP query function comes into play. But this function, you can customize how the WordPress loop actually works. So what I'm going to do in this video is we're going to, as an example, we're going to customize how the loop works so that it shows posts only from a very specific category, maybe such as, let's say, you know, the movies from the, posts from the movies category. Let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go to my index.php file, and right here where we have start the loop, I am going to remove this code. Let's come down here to our blog template, create a new line, open up my PHP tags, paste the code down there, and then at the bottom here too, I'm going to open up new PHP tags as well, because we have to end this while function. So let me just copy this end while function here, got that, come back to our blog template, paste that. Let's save this. And then here for the index.php, I'm going to remove the post navigation for now. We'll talk about this later. Let me save this. Let me just come back down here and refresh, make sure everything is still working as it should. Awesome. So what I did right here is I transferred the very start of the loop to the content blog template because I am going to make some customization to how the loop actually works. So it's always a very good idea whenever you're making changes to the loop to start the loop on your blog page template itself. Okay, so right now we are going to create a custom function, a custom WP query function that will pull in information of posts from a very specific category. And here's what I'm going to do, okay? I am going to open up a new PHP tag. Now inside, I am going to create a variable called args, which is argument. And I'm going to create an array. And inside of this array, I can make my customizations, my specifications. So let me add category underscore name. And then the value we have to add here would be the slug of the category from which we want to display the posts from. So let's look for the slug for our movies category. Over here we have movies as the slug for it. Okay. Let me come back down here. I'm going to say in quotes movies. Okay, let's leave this for now. Let's add my semicolon. And then what I'm going to do right now is I am going to create a new variable that says the underscore query equals new WP underscore query. And then inside, I'm going to pass my variable for args. Hopefully, if you have some PHP experience, you know what exactly is happening here. If you don't have any PHP experience, don't worry. The more you work with this function, the more you will understand it, the more you'll get used to it. Just know that what I've done right now is I've created a new query called the query that accepts a variable called args. And inside of this variable, we have an array that specifies the category name from which we want to pull the posts from. All right, so that's been set up. The next thing I have to do right now is I have to force WordPress to make use of this new query. So right down here where we have while have posts, the post, I am going to add this value here called the query. I'm basically replacing the default WordPress loop with the query. So I'm going to paste this down here, and I'm going to add my arrow. So it's the query have posts. And then here as well, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's add a dash and an arrow as well. Okay, and let me also add an if statement. If, and then the underscore query. Okay, arrow. Let's go with have underscore posts. Let me just expand this. Expand this for more space. The posts brackets. I think this should be fine. Colon for while. Okay, I think we're fine. So basically what I've just done right now is I've forced WordPress to make use of this new query that I've created. Okay. So we have our if statement, which we'll also have to end as well. PHP and if. Okay, so let me save this. Let's come back. Let's see if it's working. Refresh. And voila. Now you can see we have our 4 posts from Logan, Deadpool, Star Wars, and the Terminator. Let's go to our posts. Yep, you can see for Logan is movies, Deadpool is movies, Star Wars is movies, Terminator is movies. So what we've done right here is that we have customized the way the WordPress loop works. We've told the WordPress loop to only show posts from the specific category of movies. Now, what we've done right now is quite a lot. It's a lot of code to digest. So there's a lot more specification and customizations that we're going to do, but I'm going to end the video for now. You can choose to rewatch the video again just so that you have kind of an understanding of what we did down here. So join me in the next class where we're going to continue to customize the way our WordPress loop works. Thank you for watching. Alright, so hopefully you've had a chance to analyze and digest this code that we wrote in the previous class, because we are going to continue to modify the way our WordPress loop works. Before we do that, let's take a look at this page down here, the WP query page. And over here, starting from where we have the parameters, these are examples of the parameters that we can add to our WordPress to customize the way it works. We can customize the author, for example. So let's say, for example, we wanted to display posts from a very specific author. You can use the parameter name author_name and then simply add the name of the author whose post you would like to display. You can display posts from several authors simply using their IDs. Here's an example. You can exclude posts from a specific author simply using their ID and then adding a negative sign to indicate that you want to exclude posts from that specific author. Now over here, category parameters, this is exactly what we just did. We used the category_name and then we used the category slug, which is a string. So what if we wanted to show posts from more than one category? Well, over here is an example, as you can see. Simply add the name of the second category after a comma. So let's do that. Let's come back down here. Let's add a comma, and let's go with news because we do have a category named news. So let's save this. Let's see if this works. Let's refresh. And now you can see we have our news posts also joining in. Awesome. Okay. Let's come back down here. We have tag parameters as well, where you can show posts that have specific tags associated with them. You have taxonomy parameters, which we will get to in a later video. For now, let's just ignore that. Let's come all the way down to our post and page parameters, where we can display posts that with a specific page ID, with a page name, and and so on and so forth. Lots of options right there. Let's come all the way down. We even have password parameters, so you can display posts that have passwords associated with them. Pretty incredible. Let's keep going down. Let's keep going. Let's say, as an example, let's see what am I looking for. Okay, posts per page, pagination parameter. So, what if we wanted to show posts, only show the first 5 posts? Well, we can do that by using the post per page parameter. So let me just add my comma. Very, very important. Always make sure you have a comma at the end of each parameter, except the last one. The last one isn't necessary. So let's go with posts underscore per page. Let's go with 4. Okay. So right now we're only going to show the first 4 posts. Okay, let me save this. Let's come back down here to our blog. Let's refresh. And now we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we only have the first 4 posts showing up. What if we wanted to hide the most recent post, which is the post about Christopher Nolan? What if we wanted to do that? We're going to use a parameter called offset here, as you can see, offset. So let's come down here. Let's add another comma. Offset is our new pagination, our new parameter rather. Let's go with 1. So we're going to hide the most recent post. Let's come back. Let's refresh. And now you can see the post about Christopher Nolan has gone. We've just offset our most recent post. So again, there is so many options that you can play around with, so many parameters. Post per archive page, ignore sticky posts, for example. So let's say you had a post that was sticky. You can choose to ignore it by using this parameter. Lots and lots of options available to you. Let's go back up. I wanted to show you something else. We have status parameters. So you can show posts associated with a certain status. So you can even show posts that are, let's say, in a draft mode. And in fact, let's try that. Let's quickly create a new post. I'm going to say draft post. Let me just add some jargon text down here. And let me just publish this. By default, I think all our new posts are in the news category. Awesome. So let me come down here. Let's actually make sure that we have the right parameter name, which is post underscore status. Post underscore status. Okay. Let's come down here. Let's remove the offset parameter. post per page. Let's offset that. Let's come to the top, add our, oh my gosh, what was it called again? Post underscore status. Okay, post underscore status, and it's going to be a string, and it's going to be drafts. Okay, I think this should be fine. Let's save this. Come back here, let's refresh. And okay, so that didn't quite work out the way it was supposed to. For some reason, we're not seeing the post with the draft mode. So what's happening? Let's go back. Let's make sure this is how it's supposed to be. Draft post, we have news. Okay. Let's go back. Let's see. Draft post underscore status. All right, so let's see what exactly is happening here. Category name, movies or news, and draft mode. Let's come back here. Let's refresh. And nothing is actually showing up. Oh my gosh, what exactly did we do wrong? Let me come back down here. Post status is draft, yes. Movies, news. All right, let's go to our posts. And oh my gosh. Did you see what I did? I actually ended up publishing the draft post. It's supposed to be, the status is supposed to be draft, not published. Oh my gosh. All right, let me just quick edit this, change the status to draft, update. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go back here. Let's refresh. Okay, so now we have our draft post showing up. Oh my gosh, that is incredible. I created a post specifically to display it in the draft mode, and I ended up publishing it instead. Great job, Alex. But anyway, it works, as you can see. So there are lots of ways how you can customize your WordPress loop, and feel free to play around with all these parameters that you have over here. I am actually going to create a quiz and an exercise for you to test your knowledge, so be sure to take that. But hopefully you've been able to see how you can make custom changes to your WordPress loop. So thank you very much for watching the video, and of course I will see you in the next class. Bye for now. Okay, so as you can see, I have made some major changes to the blog page. It's looking a lot nicer and cleaner now, and I actually wanted to record the video. I wanted to make a video on how I actually did all of this, but I expect that you already have some knowledge of CSS, so I figured if I just show you what I did and maybe also provide the code to you, you will be able to figure out exactly what it is that I did on this particular page. It's nothing complicated at all. I wrapped the entire blog page template in a class of blog wrapper and another class of call-to-items. And as you can see, I have my loop inside of the wrapper. And then for each individual block of post, I added a class of single post and another class of call-to-item. So this entire div right here surrounds the h1 for the post title, the featured image, which I gave a class of featured image. We have the post thumbnail inside of it, the featured image, and then we have a class of an image overlay, which I'll get to in just a second. But then the posted on and the written by, I wrapped them inside of another div, and I gave it a class of post meta. I did remove the tags because I felt it was way too much information on the blog page, so I removed the tags section. And then of course we have our excerpt, and as for the read more button, I give it some CSS styling. I gave it a blue background, added some padding, a border radius, and some few other stuff. Now you will notice that I do have my style.css file open down here. I will also provide all the code that I wrote over here, as you can see. What do we have here? Well, it's, if you're familiar with CSS, as I expect, all this should be pretty straightforward for you. Nothing really fancy, except of course there is some animation. I added a transition of 0.8 seconds to the featured image, and then upon hover it scales by 1.1 of its original size. Now the image overlay class here that I have is simply positioned absolutely, and it's what adds the black background over the image when I hover over it. And of course we have the declarations there: position absolute, background, RGBA transition, of course, on opacity of 1.2 seconds. Shameless plug over here. If you're interested in learning how to create effects like this, in case you don't know how to do so, I do have an entire course. It's called CSS Animations Create Amazing Effects on your website. You can check that out. I have a whole course on how you can create amazing effects on your website. So hopefully you do have some knowledge of CSS. This shouldn't be too complicated. I will, as I said earlier, I will provide all this code for you in the resources link, so you can go ahead and download it. One other thing to mention before I leave, you don't necessarily have to do exactly what I did, because the chances are I am still going to make some changes to this blog page as we progress in the course. So you can either just go ahead and copy my code, paste it as it is, or you can write your own CSS, or you can just leave your blog page as it is. The only reason why I decided to add some CSS is just to make the page look more presentable, and there is no other reason why I did it. Okay, it doesn't really add any additional functionality, nothing of the sort. It's just for design purposes. So I will share the code. Check the resources link for everything that I've done to this page. Join me in the next class where we will talk about the individual single post page. Thank you for watching. Okay, so now let's take a look at the individual posts pages that we have. Let me click on a read more button here, and as you can see, we do have the title, we have the full content showing up, but the featured image itself is missing. So let's go ahead and try to add the featured image to our individual single post pages. I'm going to drag my Notepad++ file over here, and what I'm looking for here is the single.php template, which is the template that controls how our single posts are displayed. And over here we do have our loop, while have posts, the posts, and then inside we have the get template part, template paths / content get post format. So what this means is we're looking for a folder called template parts, and we're looking for a file inside of the template parts folder called content.php. So we have template parts over here and content.php. Okay, so this is the file that we have to edit. Let me just first of all go ahead and type in some gibberish to make sure that this is the actual file itself. Let's refresh. Okay, so now we have the gibberish showing up. So okay, so this is the file itself. All right, cool. Let me remove that. All right, so let's try and trace what we have over here. We have the title, which is what we have over here, the title. We have the entry meta, and we have some sort of custom function here posted on, which is displaying when the article was written and who wrote the article. We have the content tag over here displaying the full content. And of course, we have the entry footer down here displaying the category, the tags. And okay, so what do we have to do? First of all, I would like to simplify all this code that we have over here. So what I'm going to do very simply is I am going to remove all of this code inside of our header. Backspace. Now let's add the title. Let's save this. Let's refresh. And okay, so our title is showing up, but it's very small. So very simply, I am going to wrap this up in an h1 tag. And let me even give it a class of single post title. I might need to use this class later on for CSS purposes, so let me just save that. Let's refresh and see what we have. Okay, awesome. So next thing we're going to do right now would be to display the featured image. So PHP, the underscore post underscore thumbnail, brackets, semicolon. Now by default, the post thumbnail should show us the full image. So let's refresh and okay, so we have the image, but it looks kind of big. let's try another image. Let's go with the Batman v Superman. And okay, well, I don't know. It seems kind of large though. Let's see. Let's go with Star Wars. Okay, you know what? This images are quite large. So what I'm gonna do is let's go ahead and create a special image size for our single post pages. So let's look for our functions.php. Let's come down to where we have our custom image sizes. Let's copy this whole line. Copy, and then in a new line, let's add a new name for image size. Let's go with post thumbnail. And then for the size, let's see, how do we want to do this? All right, so obviously we would like our featured image to fill up the content that we have, and based on our style.css, I believe we made our container 1,000 pixels wide. Was it? Oh, yeah, 1,200 pixels wide. Okay, so let's go ahead and set our width to be 1,200 pixels wide, and then for the height, let's just double it. Okay, so over 600. So 600 by 300 for the blog page, 1,200 by 600 for the post, for the single post page. Okay, well, let's save this. Now we have to go to content.php, and then inside of our post thumbnail function, let's type in post dash thumbnail. Let's save this. Now let's just go to the backend immediately because we have to regenerate thumbnails. So let's just go ahead and do that. Regenerate the thumbnails, regenerate the thumbnails. I like to sing when I'm regenerating thumbnails. Okay, so, alright, so everything is regenerated. Let's go back, plug, let's go with Batman v Superman. And let's just go ahead and hard refresh this. Okay, so it looks to be a little bit smaller right now. 600 pixels. Let's go back. Let's try the Star Wars image. Okay, all right, awesome. So, yeah, I think it looks a little bit smaller now, at the very least. I mean, it's still going full width, but the height right now is 600 pixels, which is fine. Let's go back. Let's try Mr. Michael Fassbender. Okay, yeah, so you can see right now it's 600 pixels, not the usual full height that we had earlier. Okay, awesome. All right, let me just refresh this page. Okay, all right, not bad. I think this is fine. This should be fine. 1200 pixels by 600 pixels is fine. What else can we do? All right, so let's see. Down here where we have posted in news tagged, let's change this. Okay, let's go back to our file, content.php file, and it's obviously what we have over here, the video buff underscore entry underscore footer. So let me just go ahead and remove this as well. Backspace, PHP, the category. Brackets, semicolon. And what I'm going to do is I am going to wrap this in an h3 tag. And then inside, I'm going to say category dash space, the category. Let's close our h3 tag. And then let's open up another PHP function for the tags. All right, so let's see. Let's save this. Let's refresh the page. And okay, so now we have category and then we have our tags. But I really don't like this. For some reason, WordPress makes the categories into a list. So let me just right click and inspect this. Let me see if I can actually do this live with you. All right, so you can see right now, whenever we have categories, WordPress automatically creates a UL class of post categories, and then we have the LI, and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and change this. Post dash categories, LI, list style will be none. Okay, so the button has disappeared. What else do we have? Let's say margin is 0, padding 0 as well. Let's go through the UL class category. Margin 0, padding is gonna be 0 as well. Okay, so what else? Display is gonna be inline block. Okay, much better. Much better. Okay, so let me just go ahead and copy this, come down to my style.css, and then down here, let me just go ahead and paste that for the post categories. And then for the LI, let me just copy post categories LI, come back down here, paste this. Let me save this. All right, let me refresh. All right, so now we have our categories, and then we have our tags. That's fine. Okay, so I'm going to be making some more changes to the single post page as we go along. So for now, I think this is fine. At least we have our title, the featured image showing up. We have the content. We have all good stuff showing up. So thank you for watching, and you can feel free to, customize your own single .php file, your content.php file. Feel free to customize it how you want to do so. The aim of this video is just to show you how to add your post thumbnail to your single post pages, and of course we also did some CSS to get our category and our text to appear the way we wanted it to appear. So thank you for watching the video, and of course I will see you in the next class. Ciao. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed the rather lengthy free preview of the complete WordPress development and customization course, and I wanted to give you a preview of what to expect when you decide to buy the course. So far we've completed the first 4 sections, so you can see right now we're in section 4, and the very last topic we covered was the single.php template file. So coming up next would be section 5, where I show you how to work with custom post types and advanced custom fields. You will also learn how to create your own custom taxonomies and also build your own custom page templates as well. For section 6, we'll cover sidebars, which are a very important part of any WordPress website. You will learn how to create your own custom sidebars and also learn the important differences between the dynamic underscore sidebar function and the get underscore sidebar function. We'll move on to building the home page. You will learn the differences between the front-page.php template file and the home.php template file as well. We will then cover some styling, where I'll show you how to create custom CSS style sheets and also show you the proper way how to load them. We'll also take a look at how you can load JavaScript functions as well to your WordPress website. We will do some more customizations. I will show you how to create your own custom menu allocations. We'll take a look at adding social media, and then I will show you how to work with the flexible posts widget plugin, which is a very powerful plugin for any WordPress developer. We'll complete our styling in section 10. Section 11 will cover taxonomy templates, very important part of WordPress as well. You will learn about the different kinds of taxonomies that we have and how you can modify them. We will then take a look at conditional tags in section 12, which are very important as well for any WordPress developer. You will learn how to use conditional tags to display information on your WordPress website. Section 13 will then cover global variables and how you can work outside of the WordPress loop. We'll take a look at some examples, such as how you can detect mobile devices. You will also learn about the get underscore post function and the get underscore post underscore meta function. And then section 14, you will learn how to write your own custom WordPress functions. Some pretty cool stuff here. You will learn how to create custom functions, like how to display the current time. You will learn how you can add Google Analytics to your WordPress website. We'll write a function to change the default gravatar in your WordPress website, and a few other functions in there as well. I will also introduce you to hooks, actions, and filters, which will be important for you to understand how plugins actually work on your WordPress website. And then section 15, we'll take a look at the WordPress installation directory. We'll analyze what is contained in the WP content directory, the WP admin, and WP includes directories as well. We'll also talk about these three very important files, which are the htaccess file, your index.php, and your wp-config.php files as well. Section 16, we'll take a look at database management. As a WordPress developer, it is important that you have at least a basic understanding of your WordPress database. And then we have a bonus section where I show you how to create a child theme the WordPress developer's way, and also analyze the WP query generator. And then finally, the icing on the cake, section 19, we will cover a real world project where I show you how to utilize all the information that you've learned so far in the course to build a real world project. So that's it. I really hope I've been able to convince you to take the course today. Remember that when you take this course, you have a 30-day back money guarantee. Plus, when you take the course, you will have direct access to me. If you have any questions, I will always be here to help you, to answer whatever questions that you have. So if you're interested, there will be a link in the description box below where you can get the course today for just $19. Usually this course sells for $100, but I'm offering it for $19. So that's it. I really hope you've enjoyed taking and watching the videos. If you decide to buy the course today, congratulations, I will see you on the inside. If not, well, I wish you all the very best in your journey towards becoming a WordPress developer. Thank you for watching, and as always, I will see you next time. Bye bye.